All right, welcome back to the Content Marketing Playbook. I'm your host, Josh Culler, and today we're going to be talking about the importance of copywriting and kind of how you can utilize copywriting in order to yield better results for your content marketing. And I am talking about writing, but how it actually plays into your video content, into your imagery, your website, Google My Business, everything. So I want you guys to understand how important copywriting is, and that's kind of the premise of this entire episode, but then how to actually utilize that and integrate that with the other content marketing sources that you're making happen. Now, before you click off, I get it. Like, writing is not sexy. It's not something that people are like obsessed with doing as a whole, right? There's not a whole lot of people that have a talent for writing. It is definitely a skill that you have to learn, but there are ways to still utilize it and still make use of it. And I'm going to kind of let you know how I do that, because I'm kind of a writer. I enjoy writing, but I still need some kind of support, whether it's a ghostwriter or somebody doing like massive heavy editing on my writing. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I actually do it, and hopefully that'll help you. But before you click off, I want to make sure you know that copywriting is extremely important. So make sure you listen in, take some notes, and then reach out to me if you have any questions. But before we jump into it, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Content Marketing Playbook if you're not already. If you're watching this video, and those of you who are listening to the podcast, I am videoing this. It's going to go on YouTube and all the social platforms. But if you're on the video, all the links will be in the description in order for you to be able to subscribe to the podcast. If you're listening on the podcast, if you're on Apple Podcasts, head over there after this show and leave me a review. I would much appreciate that. Any feedback that you would give me would be incredible. And if you guys have any questions, I always say this on the show, make sure to reach out to me, josh@cullermedia.com, Colored spelled C-U-L-L-E-R. That is my personal email address, and I'm willing to give that out to you guys, to my listeners, because I want you to reach out to me if you have any questions, if you have any topics that you want me to address on this show, or if you have any questions specifically about your business and the content marketing that you're putting out. I've had several people reach out to me. So reach out to me, don't hesitate to do that, and I'd be happy to help you with anything that I possibly can, or at least point you in the right direction. So let's talk about copywriting. Now, basically what this means is just words. That's really all like the sum of this is like writing. It's words. Anything that has text in your content marketing. That could just be as simple as the tagline that you put in the on the homepage of your website. It could be the tabs that you have at the top of your website. It could be the description in your Facebook bio. It could be the description in your YouTube bio. It could be even the titles for your YouTube videos. All that kind of stuff. That's all included in copywriting, down to the messaging on your billboards, the messaging on your direct mail, and any imagery that you put out on your social media posts. So that's what I want to address here. Now, I'm going to address a few things and kind of the importance of copywriting, and then how you can actually utilize it to help your content marketing efforts. So the first thing is, and I'm not going to go deep into this. As you know, this podcast is specifically geared on content marketing and not content or not marketing as a whole, right? There's tons of marketing podcasts out there, and I don't want to be lost in the woodwork with those. And so this is specifically for content marketing. So I'm not going to go too deep into these topics, but the first thing is SEO. It helps massively with SEO is when you have good writing. And that's almost like, kind of in a nutshell, what SEO is the art of writing really good copy for your website, for your Google My Business pages, for anything that you have on the web. And that's really what SEO is, search engine optimization. And search engine is what people are actually searching on the search engine, right? So that's why it's important to learn this skill and have this skill utilized in your content marketing efforts. It's because it will help people find you better, whether that is on your website or Google My Business or your social profiles or whatever. And there's not really much SEO that goes with social profiles, so I'm not going to get into that, but it does help a lot with searchability. If somebody does go on Facebook and search fitness gym in Northwest Indiana, what's going to pull up is what content you put out there according to the writing that you have in your content. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is it gives another element to your content. And what I mean by that is when you put a video out on Facebook and you just, all you're doing, what I can't stand the most is when somebody shares a post, but they don't actually like write anything with it, that doesn't get a lot of results when people are viewing that. And Facebook will punish you in the algorithms for doing that. And so what you have to do is to actually post your content, but give a description with that. And what I like to do is I like to actually type out 2 to 3 paragraphs, like short paragraphs. I mean, we're talking like 2 or 3 sentences. So I'll actually do like 2 sentences and then a dot, which is basically a spacer, and then 2 more sentences at least. Sometimes I'll do like 4 or 5 of those little sections in order to compound the content that is in this post. And what I found is people actually read that. Like, copywriting in social media posts is very underrated and underutilized as well. Now, I'm not saying that those of you who put like 1 or 2 sentences in your content on social, that's a bad thing. Like, that's fine. That's fine and dandy. But I'm just saying the more that you do that, the more you're going to complement the actual content that you're putting out. And it just gives that different element that people are actually able to read. It gives another point of view almost. Like, for instance, if I put out an image that has a quote for me or for any of my clients, the copy that goes with that helps expound on that quote card, right? So I'm on a quote card, you're not going to put like 4 paragraphs. You're going to put like 1 sentence or 1 statement. And then in the description of the post, you can expound on that as much as you want. And that helps out a lot with giving that other element. So those are kind of the reasons why copywriting is important. But I'll help like frame this up in your mind of how you can utilize content marketing, and some of these points that I have are also like why it's important as well. So the first thing is it makes relevant, make it relevant to the actual content. What I hate seeing is when people like put out a piece of content, whether that's a video or a quote card or whatever, and it's like the copy in the post description is not even relevant to the actual post, right? So make sure that whatever you're writing in that post is actually relevant to the piece of content that people are consuming, or else they're going to turn it off immediately. Second thing is, this is a really, really big one. Do not be salesy and do not come across as clickbait. Do not do that. That will hurt you in the long run massively. Yes, you will get that click, but then people will unfollow you. People will report you. People will like give you bad reviews. They'll give you bad comments, stuff like that. So for instance, so just to give you guys an understanding of what I mean, being salesy means like in your copy, don't like give these massive call to actions of like, and especially don't give a call to action at the beginning of your post. Put it at the bottom. So deliver the value first and then give the call to action. The call to action should be a soft call to action, which means like if you want to learn more about what we're talking about here, go to this website, and then people will click that and then go to the website, and that's okay. And then you got to make sure that the website has relevant content to the post too, because that's the reason why people are clicking on that. But don't be salesy with it. This is the same concept as when you're actually doing your content, whether it's a video or a podcast. Don't be salesy. Like, bottom line, don't do that. Content is meant to deliver value, not to advertise. There's a difference. If you become salesy, that becomes advertising as opposed to content marketing. So that's the first thing. And then clickbait that's pretty self-explanatory. If you do that, like, you just need to like not ever put out content ever again. So clickbait is basically like, you ever read those headlines that says like, the death of this, movie star or whatever, or, one I saw the other day was a lava flow in Hawaii. And then I click on it and it just shows like a repeating YouTube video. They're just like all they want to get is the views because it helps monetize their video, but then they're going to get punished by YouTube. But then like I click on that video and that video was from like 3 years ago, but the headline said like today, like live or whatever. So that was clickbait. So clickbait basically means give a headline in your post description or your copy or the title of the video, and that's not actually what's going on in the content that they're consuming. So just don't do that. I'm not gonna spend any more time on that. That is horrible to do. So don't do it. It's not gonna get you anything. It's not gonna gain anything for you. And then the next thing is put yourself in the customer's shoes. So what are your customers actually thinking? This is why it's so important to know your customer. And what I tell people too is what you gotta understand is more times than not, you are not actually your customer. So a lot of people that I work with, I mean, almost everybody that I work with are real estate investors. And what I always tell them is don't put out content that is relevant to you because you are not your customer. Your customer is a motivated seller, somebody that's going through, maybe a divorce and one person's going to end up with the house, or maybe they inherited the property, or they're going through foreclosure. Like, you're not going through foreclosure. You're not going through a divorce. You didn't inherit a property and now you don't know what to do with it. So those are the things that you got to think about. And then in that context is you create the copy according to the way that they think. So also the title of the video. So what questions are they asking? And you got to put yourself in your customer's shoes. And when you can do that, you can frame it up in the copy. Because normally, guys, like, let me just give you an example. When somebody's watching a video, and the reason why you see those wrappers on the videos, we call them wrappers, is basically the title on the video or the post description. The reason why people will watch those, the reason why people actually do those wrappers is because they want people to see, hey, this is the headline and this is what's relevant to you, and then they'll actually click on it, as opposed to just putting a video with no wrapper or no post description. That doesn't get people to engage because they don't know what the video is about. But if you put a title on there that's relevant, then that will make people watch it, and because they know it's relevant. And so in that manner, you have to be thinking in terms of what your customer is thinking, what questions they're asking, and then, or not even your customers, but your audience. And then that's when you will start to get the engagement, right? So that's important. The next thing is use keywords or key phrases. So make sure that you're doing this. It's highly important to use keywords, key phrases, because again, that's going to help your SEO rankings. You want to be putting content out there in your writing that people are actually searching for. So let me give you an example. One of my clients, he's doing residential assisted living in Northwest Indiana. And I asked him, I'm like, hey, what are you looking at on your website? And he told me, like, hey, I'm number one. I have an SEO guy and I'm ranking number one on SEO, but I'm not getting any results from it. And then I asked him, like, I said, how many people are doing what you're doing in the state of Indiana, or let's just say like Northwest Indiana? And he said, I'm the only one. And I said, dude, your problem is that nobody even knows what the hell you do or who the hell you are. Like, they're not, the reason why you're ranking number one is because there's nobody else out there that's doing that. And so he's not putting content out there that people are actually searching for. And so what we did, what the videos that we shot that are actually going up pretty soon, is that he is putting content out there about what people are actually searching for, right? So they're searching for nursing home because people know what a nursing home is, as opposed to a residential assisted living facility. And so that's what you want to do. That's the mindset that you want to go into. The next thing is, in social posts, give a good explanation of your posts. I kind of framed this up a couple minutes ago, but make sure that you're doing that. So when you put out a social post, make sure that you're expounding on that as best as possible, because that's going to get you good results. Because again, that's what people are reading before they actually consume the video or the podcast or whatever. The next thing is, don't chase rabbits. Make sure that you stay on point with it. Like, this is important. Don't put like a copy in the post of your social media post, and then all of a sudden, like, you're talking about something different that is actually not relevant to the post, right? So don't do that. That's a no-no, because you're going to draw people away from the actual messaging you want them to consume on the content. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Next is keep it specific and keep it brief. I love this thought because you want to make sure that you're staying on point with a specific topic. Again, not chasing that rabbit. And make sure you keep it brief. So I talked about, I'll do like several paragraphs, but in those paragraphs, it's only 2 to 3 sentences. And in each of those paragraphs, it's the specific thought that I have. So I'll do one thought here, and then I'll do a spacer, and then another thought here, spacer, another thought, spacer. And that's how I carry it. But I keep it very brief and to the point, very specific. So make sure that you're doing that, because what you're going to do is you're going to engage the audience because they know that this content is relevant to me. The next thing is keep your message clear. So this goes along with the last 2 points. Make it very clear of what you want people, not just like your brand messaging and what you're all about, but also what you want them to do. So if you want them to click on the link below, tell them what is going to happen next after they click on that link. So if you're putting a piece of content out there and you say, hey, if you guys want to learn more, make sure to click the link in the description, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Like, that's a no-no. Say, click the link below. This will take you to a web form, and you fill out that short web form. That'll give us a little bit of information about you and what your needs are, what you're looking for, and then we'll get in contact with you within 24 hours to talk to you about this X, right? So that's what you want to do, is keep your messaging specific and make sure that the audience knows what they're doing, and you can do all of that in writing, right? So in the video, you're going to say that, but in the actual post description, you're going to say that as well. So click the link below, fill out the form, and blah, 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 blah. All right, the next thing is, and this is kind of the last thing that I have, and then I'll get into kind of how-tos. I know we're running short on time here, so I want to wrap this up. But the last thing here is, this also helps with communication with clients, right? So this is something that we don't think about with copywriting. So for instance, for me, a lot of the communication that I have with my clients and my clientele is through text and email. That's primarily, and I'll just throw Messenger in there too. A lot of my clients like to communicate through Messenger, and that's how I actually communicate with people. But it's also like your Facebook. So for instance, I do a lot of networking on Facebook, and I'm not talking about Messenger. I'm talking about somebody that I might want to work with and somebody that is in my clientele and like in my target audience. If they put a post out there and they say, does anybody know a good videographer? How I respond to that when somebody tags me in that post, that's copywriting. That's the art of copywriting. And what I say in that post is either going to turn them off to me or turn them on to me. And then they'll reach back out to me. So learning this skill of copywriting has been extremely vital for me. And it's been helpful because when I comment on people's posts, I'll even say like, hey, listen, I don't take everybody on. And honestly, I'm booked out until the end of April right now. And this is 2 months I'm booked out. But people will still reach out to me because they know like, okay, you're booked out that far. I need to get into contact with you because obviously you're in high demand and I'm willing to wait. And that's all because I framed that up in my post description. And I'm not, again, it's not clickbait. So you don't want to do that. I am actually booked out into, months in advance. So you want to make sure that you think about what you're actually, typing in your text messages, in your emails, in your messengers, in the comments with people. And that's how you're going to get a lot of results with people, especially if you're a B2B, business, or if you work with a very small clientele, you can network with people easily like that, but you got to learn the art of copywriting. So if for instance, I misspell a word in my comment that I reply to on that post, like people are going to get turned off to that. I mean, and it's social and it's like most people would think it's fine, but at the end of the day, it's extremely important to make sure you get that right. So that's the last thing I have here. And then let's talk about how to actually make this happen. There's 2 things that I have. Number 1, hire a freelancer. Hire a freelancer that is a writer, and you can find that on 2 different places. Number 1 is Fiverr. Number 2 is Upwork. So for instance, for me, for my business, for Color Media, we do content production for people, and we distribute, let's say, 14 to 25 different posts per client, and we have 13 of those clients, right? So you do the numbers. We're publishing a couple hundred pieces of content every single week, and because of that, I cannot handle the actual copywriting for each of those posts because, like I said, all these practices that I'm telling you, we're actually doing that for our clients and for me, like for our content that we're putting out. And so it's important to make sure that you have somebody that knows what they're doing if you don't know what you're doing. Now, I know a lot of people have a passion for writing and they may be good at it. So yeah, maybe keep it yourself. But if you know your weakness is writing, which for me it is, I'm good at writing, but I'm not great at it and I'm not passionate about it. So I literally have somebody on my team that works full-time and is a copywriter. And that's what they do. So they'll consume the content. They'll think about it. They'll even put themselves in the client's shoe and how would my client say what, this post is going to say. And then they'll type that in the post and we distribute that, right? So that's how important I take copywriting is I actually have a full-time copywriter on my team and I pay them pretty good money to do it. So, and they're excellent. They're really good at it. But it's important to make sure that you value that role for somebody, especially if you're going to put out consistent content marketing. And like I said, you don't have to hire somebody full-time like me. You could just have, a freelancer. That's why I said freelancer, because you actually, you're just giving them that by project, right? So if they're going to work 5 hours a week on copywriting your content, then hey, that's fine. Pay them 10 or 11 bucks an hour, and it's not much, right? But I would suggest Upwork. I would suggest Fiverr. These are 2 really good places to find somebody. The last tip that I got for you is transcribe. So there's another step to it though. So let me first of all explain. So transcribe your videos or your audio content. This is a really good way to do it. So the way I actually wrote my book, The First 25 by Josh Culler, that came out a year and a half ago or so, I actually spoke everything and then had that transcribed, and then I had an editor go in and edit everything and actually like reframe all the writing and whatnot, but all the thoughts got out of my mind. So this is an easy way to do that. So suggestion for those of you who don't enjoy writing, but you want to get content out there in writing, what you could do, so let's just say like blogs and articles that go on your website, what you can do is shoot a video and talk about the topic, have that transcribed, take that to Temi, Temi.com. They are actually owned by Rev.com, but Rev is $1 a minute, Temi is 10 cents a minute, and they're the same APIs. You get 4-hour turnaround, no brainer. So do that. There's a little nugget for you. But Temi.com, transcribe your video, and then have an editor send that Word doc to an editor on Fiverr to edit it for like $10. They'll go through and reframe everything, correct all of the grammar, all of the, making sure that you don't go into circles and rabbit trails and stuff like that. And then have them send that back to you, and then you can post that. So it's pretty easy to do, and that's a good process. But guys, that's a lot of content that is in this show specifically. I understand that it might be a lot to take on, but I just want you to get the understanding of copywriting and how it impacts the results that you can get from your content marketing, and how to just kind of like take your content marketing to the next level. So that's what I got for you guys today. Hopefully that brought you value. And if it did, again, make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. Leave me a review on Apple Podcasts if that's how you're listening. And then if you have any questions, reach out to me, josh@colormedia.com. Color spelled Culler. Be happy to answer any questions that you have for me. Talk about any tools that I use for my content marketing and for my clients that we have. And that's what we do. We're practitioners of everything that we talk about on this show. So it's foolproof, and we actually get results from it. So that does it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me today and joining me on the Content Marketing Playbook. I will catch you guys next week on the next episode. See you later.